Today we are going to talk about text patterns. Do any of you know what a text pattern is, or can give an example of one? We are going to discuss 4 different text patterns: descriptive, sequential, compare contrast, and problem solution. When you're describing something, one easy way is to use your 5 senses. Describe how the object feels. Is it soft and furry, or rough and spiky? Describe how an object smells. Does it have a pleasant, inviting smell? Does the smell invoke a memory? Or does the object have an unpleasant smell? You can also describe how something tastes. Is it sour? Is it spicy? You can use your eyes to describe how something looks. Is it pleasant to the eye? What color is the object? Is it something you've seen before? Finally, you can use your ears to describe how something sounds. Some examples of descriptive words that you can use for sound include tapping, quiet, loud. And when describing what something smells like, you can use words such as dirty, tart, and fresh. You can describe how something feels by saying it's fuzzy, wet, hot. When describing what something looks like, you can use words like bright, drab, and dull. Here's an example of 2 sentences that both are describing the same car, but one of them does a better job of painting a picture in your head. The first one is, the car was loud. The second one is, the car's music was blaring as it drove past me. The one that does a better job painting a picture is the second one. It uses descriptive words to describe how loud the music was. The writer used his or her sense of sound when writing this sentence. How many of you have ever been to a fair or circus before? Pretend that your friend has never been to a fair before and you're telling them about what it's like. You can use this picture as a reference. Make sure to use your 5 senses to effectively describe this picture. Another type of text pattern is sequential words. Do any of you know what sequential words are, or where you see sequential words? You use sequential words every day. For example, when you come into class, you first put all of your stuff away, then you look at the board for announcements, and finally you make your lunch choice. Sequential words are used in all subjects, including math and science. The most common place you will find sequential words are in directions. Some examples of sequential words are: first, I got dressed. Second, I brushed my teeth. Third, I ate breakfast. Finally, I got on the bus. Other examples include: next, I did my homework. I went to bed before my homework was done. The last ingredient is flour. After I do my homework, I can go outside and play. Sequential words are very important. They are especially important when you are following directions. For example, when you are baking a cake, you want to make sure you follow the directions. You don't want to put the cake in the oven without adding eggs. They're also important when you are doing a science experiment. If you don't do the steps in order, the whole experiment could be off. Sequential words help you do tasks in order. Without sequential words, everything would blend together. Now, using what we just learned about sequential words and how they are important when following directions, describe how to bake a cake. You can use the pictures below to help guide you. The third text pattern we're going to learn about is compare and contrast. When comparing and contrasting, think about what 2 or more people, places, or things have in common. What are their differences? How are they similar? A useful way to organize your thoughts is to use a Venn diagram. Yesterday we read the 2 stories, Cinderella and the Egyptian Cinderella. Using a Venn diagram like the one below, compare and contrast these 2 stories. What do they have in common? How are they different? The final text pattern we're going to learn about is problem solution. When writing or reading about problem solution, you first need to identify the problem. Second, think of a solution to the problem, or how the character in the book decided to solve their problem. Sometimes, however, the first attempt to solve the problem doesn't always work, so there can be more than one attempt to solve a problem. While reading The Three Little Pigs in class, we learned that the wolf needs sugar, so we would identify that as the problem. The wolf then comes up with a plan on how he can get his cup of sugar. In this particular case, the wolf attempted 3 solutions in order to solve his problem. So this story is a good example of how sometimes there are more than one attempt to solve a problem. As we go through a day, we encounter many problems. In order to solve our problems, we devise a solution. Today, you're going to write down one problem you recently had and what solution or solutions you came up with. We discussed 4 different text patterns. The first were descriptive words. Descriptive words help to create a picture in your head. Using your 5 senses is a good way to describe something. We then discussed sequential words, which are words that help keep things in order, especially in directions. The third type of text pattern is compare and contrast. How do 2 or more things differ, and how are they the same? Refer back to the example of Cinderella and the Egyptian Cinderella. Finally, we discussed problem and solution. First, you identify the problem, then you devise a plan or a solution to solve a problem. Remember, though, that sometimes your first attempt isn't always successful, so you may have to try more than one solution.